All right, all right. Listen, I'm a few minutes late. Get over it. It's 12:21. It is Thursday. My name is Scott Redlar. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Busy morning, just getting things situated. Hope everyone's feeling well. Listen, guys, days like yesterday happen. That's when you have to, I think the title of my note was "Be on your toes." People are like, what does that mean? That means, we've been up for a lot of days, and although we've made a lot of money in the portfolio approach, they could shake the tree a little bit. I've talked about sell rules multiple times, and if you trimmed it to strength, so you could buy dips, and then you look for a day like yesterday, although you could definitely lose a little bit of money, you could lose a lot less, and then you could situate yourself for a different type of trade. So anyway, let's get to it. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, what does yesterday mean? Does it mean that Santa Claus isn't coming to town, or does it mean that we're going to have a 3 to 5% pullback, or does it mean that you just wanted to shake the tree and reduce sentiment a little bit because a lot of bulls started to get out there, and usually what yesterday does is it kind of resets the table a little bit, and sometimes what I call it, you need to rebuild for a little bit. The question is, how long do you rebuild for, and what does it mean? And I posted before earlier today, I think like at 5:30 in the morning, retracement rules, Fibonacci retracement rules, very sophisticated. Anyway, the way you figure out whether a day like yesterday means something is by the type of action the day or so thereafter. So I'm going to do a little lesson today by going over the SPYs. And look at the SPYs here. First of all, here's the SPYs. This is where we entered the day, right after. First of all, look at these two candles, okay? Just to go back real fast. Remember, we started this active sequence from like November 1st when we took back the 8th day. Went up 4, had a big gap up. This was like day 3, but really this was the day that we penetrated the prior lows and we took over again. The active bulls took over. Not we. I'm not part of the active bull program. I'm a trader. But anyway, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On this day, it felt as if maybe we're going to stall out into resistance, and that could have been it. And then the following day, not only did it take back half, 50%, it pretty much engulfed the entire day. So it ran over the bears, so they had absolutely no power. So even if you did get out of some longs here, got stopped out because it took out a prior low, you got stopped out because something opened above a prior level, big deal. You were able to kind of readjust, and then you had another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more days. And this was another day that wasn't like a crazy day, but what did it do? It opened up above a prior high, closed on the lows, kind of felt as if maybe it would come in, and then you had a down open, and then it kind of took back half, and then got above it, and then got choppy, and then on this day it kind of felt like, hey, maybe now, after a huge move that had lasted for over 5 weeks, maybe it's over, and then we gapped up halfway through that candle again. These are all micro strategies if you're actively trading for a living, not for life. And then within I would say 1 day, 2 days, we took out the high and then resumed the active sequence that happened from here. So anyway, what happened yesterday, okay, if you take a closer look, after multiple day move that, look how far extended from the 8th day, kept going, kind of traded above 470, 492, hit 475.89. So if you were playing for another day up, what do you have to do? Get above and stay above. What didn't it do? Get above and stay above. So hopefully you trimmed into some strength. Like I was in a lot of longs, and I was trimming into strength. I was trimming some options. Remember, we were buying options last week into the rebalance in tech. So I was reducing also. And then you could have sold some strength, figured there might not be momentum here. And then you could have really got stopped out at 472.45, and then not had to hold your nose and go underwater all the way down to 467.82. Now what? So here, today a down open would have been awesome, because if you got stopped out higher, and if you had hedges on and you covered shorts, maybe you had a chance to buy lower. But now that they're opening up, it makes it a little bit harder on the active sequence or just the active trade. So here's the SPYs, right? So now here's the SPYs. It's at 470.32. So we're going to do a simple math. Okay, my son's taking geometry right now, his freshman year, and he's having a tough time with that. You know, as adults, our math is a little easier, right? Yep, just say 476 down to just say 468. How many points is that? That's 8 points, right? Fibonacci has different retracement rules: 0.382, 0.2.3, 0.61, and then the red dog one is the halfway point. I like to simplify it. So from 476 down to 468 or so, that's 8 points. So if the Bears want to have any kind of power, okay, they don't let basically you take back half of this. So what's half of 476 down to 468? About, what is that? 472ish. So I'm pretty much right here too. So this low here was what, 472.45. So if you go like this, right, that's 4 points around. The Bears should not be able to really take back. Just say, let's simplify it. I would say 472 to 473. 472 to 473 is where, if the sellers want to keep some pressure on, they don't let the bulls retake this spot back, right? It comes up in here, creates an H sell setup, and then we see a little bit more downside. I'm just saying that's what they would want to do if that's going to be the case. So typically on a day like today, right now we're opening up, up 2. We were up more than that. It was a 471. A better traders would be like shorting into that area if it happened fast, because that's typically where, if you didn't get out yesterday and you're, oh my God, my P&L's down so much money, and you get a bounce to sell into at a better price, some people sell. So there's some supply there. And then, but if it gets through the supply, all of a sudden, boom, again, there's no power by the seller. So we'll see what happens here. Again, it's not the end of the world. All we did is get 2 extended and came down to the 8th day. And also, the Santa Claus rally officially, or, according to the definition, starts on Friday, which is tomorrow, and goes through next week. So you can't start a Santa Claus rally after you're up for 15 days. People are saying, oh my goodness, we stole on Thanksgiving from Christmas, and we continued to rally. So yesterday actually was a pretty healthy day overall. Plus, it let some people out of hedges. I sold a lot of premium. I was selling the 476 calls. I was selling Q calls. So I was able to suck in all that premium, get paid on it, and it's still, I still have a third or half of some of my calls for 12.29, but I funded those calls by selling premium, and that was the plan this week, for a little digestion to downside action, to then maybe position for a move into, next week. So I was thinking a little bit of downside, not, hang out, and then take it all back. But again, this is 2023. We've had a little insulting action where they try and, flip you around a little bit. So anyway, this is a spot, write it down. Sometimes it takes a few days, like here, if you remember, after this day, it took a few days to go back and forth before going again. It might take a little bit of time. You don't know. At this point, 472 to 473 right now, kind of opening up in no man's land. 470.30. If you start shorting 470.30 because you're like, oh, well, yesterday's candle was so big, so much power, and they want to push it a little bit higher, and you start too early, chances are, you might not hold it, but it might not also get here to 472, 473. So that's kind of the thought. I wasn't here at my desk in the end of the day. I was on Fox Business with my girl Liz Clayman. I'm on pretty much every, I would say 3-4 times a month, going over, my thoughts. So I wasn't there, so I got kind of stopped out of some things. I kept on some options, and it was fine. That's why from the road you have to have some stops in also. So I wasn't here to readjust charts. So I'll show you kind of like how I do it. Like when I, at the end of the day, when I readjust price pivots and this and that, this is what I'm thinking or look at. So now let's just go to the Qs. So here's 472, 440, 473. Sometimes it could take a few days to get through. Like today, it could be up 2 points and hang around, and then all of a sudden, Friday it takes this out and still has the meaning. Or today we open up 2, we go red, we trade below 467.82 and continue. So we'll see. So right down that level. You can do it for any stock you're trading. The Qs also. So I did not. See, look, I did sell some 409, 410 calls as a way to hedge. It's just from yesterday. Okay, that was yesterday. I left. So now what you do is, you have a few things here. So this was 409.28, right? That was the prior high. So what did it do? It went above and couldn't hold it. That's 410.47. So that's your, you got to put that on the chart as a price pivot. So I do every day. I'm 30, 40 charts, with some music on, hanging out, drinking my iced coffee. So now here, what did this do? It did a red dog reversal sell. What's a red dog reversal sell? When it gets above a level and can't hold it. So there's a bunch of meaning here. So here, it got above 409.28. So probably squeeze some shorts in order to have another day and continue on. Get above and stay above and continue. That's what it did on all these days. Got above the high and continued. Got above the high and continued. Here, got above, couldn't really hold it, but after like 5 days, not the end of the world. But did it get below that and break down? No. So bottom line is, hopefully you sold into some strength, because a lot of things like, we were buying Amazon last week, at 148, 149, and got through 150.50. So I was selling 153, 154, 155 half. So just say I had 2,000 shares of Amazon, making good money on it, and then I had 500. Yeah, I'm 500. You're giving some back, but that's your trailer. And right now Amazon is still, it's just say 153. But anyway, so it pushed above, okay, couldn't hold it. So some people would say, hey, it's a red dog reversal sell after a big move. I'm going to short, when it got back below 409.28. I'm only risking $1.20, or waited for it to take out this low here, which was 407.35, to show some power, and then boom. I'm sure a lot of people made money, short yesterday, if that's what they were looking for, because they finally got their short sell set up. So what did this do? This just cleaned up the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days, of a multi-day sequence. So anyway, what was the low here? The low here was 402.90. It just got back to the 8-day. Holding above the 8-day strong. We were just too extended from that 8-day. Anyway, so now this is what? This is 402.90. So that is to yesterday's low. So that's an important point of reference. So you put that in here. Boom. So now we go back to the math equation, right? So just say 410 from 402, or you don't have to do the whole thing. 402, 410, 47, go 403. So just say 410 that's about 3 points. So for 3 points off the low here of 402, so 403.90, 404.5. So just say 406-ish. So which is not quite up there. So if the bears have any, just say, power, they don't, the bulls don't let them get above this, just say, there's also analytics. I could put the Fibonacci retracements like right here. They have, these things where you can go like that and put them all in and da-da-da-da. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just doing simple math. So what is that? That's like 406. So chances are, at least today, you could go 406-ish, 406 to 407. The bears should not be able to get it back above there. Definitely not today. If it gets above there today, which I don't think it will, then all of a sudden this meant nothing. But, sometimes it comes in, goes a little sideways, rolls over, the H cell setup goes out and then has a lot of move below, or it kind of traps people. Like, look at that candle right there. That felt as if maybe it was a lower high, and then the next day gapped up and took it out, and then we continued. So today we're gapping up. I don't necessarily think it's going to be as strong, but we're up right here. It's 405.84, up 3, up 2. So really, this 406, 407 would probably be a spot to fade if you're a good short. And like, I want to fade this a little bit. Just say you shorted at 409.28 because we got back below it, and you covered into the close because you're like, hey, I don't want to take this home short overnight. And now you're probably like, oh wow, I covered, at 403, 403.5. I could reshort this bounce. Then 406, 407 is the spot to see whether or not sellers can reject price. So that's your retracement rule. Now, at this point, we'll see how long does it take to rebuild. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is the official start of, the Santa Claus rally. It doesn't have to start tomorrow, because Christmas is Monday, right? It's Christmas Monday? Yeah, Christmas is Monday. Hopefully, you're getting ready for the holiday and you're getting ready to enjoy yourself. But anyway, so you can do the same type of thought process on anything out there. And this is also a good time when you get a move like that. Typically you see what bounces back best, so it'll tell you who could be the leader for next week. Do the small caps bounce back best? Does some of the mega cap tech stocks bounce back best? And then that gives you clues on where you should allocate some funds if it's going to continue for the following week. So I'm not giving you any ideas. I'm giving you a thought process. What's the thought process? Was how to navigate yesterday into a very overbought situation using your tier system and levels. And now for today, how do you approach today and then figure out what the trade could be for the days ahead? There you go. This is active trading 101. This is what I've been doing for 25 years. Besides, my intermediate approach where I put money to work every single month because long term the bull market wins. Besides putting money in a 529 for my son who's a freshman in high school, because college is astronomical. So this way, by the time he's a senior, I have a nice portion of money there. So just in case he doesn't get any offers for basketball or lacrosse, which I'm not playing for, I can pay for his college. And then there's different types of trades. I have options. You have active trades. Someone's like, hey, Red Dog, your sell rules help, but it more helps that I've been in Microsoft since 1995. I'm like, well, that's a different strategy. If you've been in Microsoft since 1995, congratulations. You don't care if it's going to get above 480 by 1229 for an option strategy. You follow? Everyone has their own different approach. I have multiple approaches. I have Red Dog, Redler for life, which is 401k, 403b, blood on the street account. I still have a tier working probably till 5100 next year, 529. Then I have my active coach approach where it's 1221. I was pretty well off my high water mark. I got pretty close. I'm right around there where I get paid, monthly and quarterly bonus checks, which help. There was one quarter I didn't get paid this year, first time in a long time, so it goes to show you how tricky it is. Even me, who's been doing this since 1998, had a quarter where I didn't make any money because of some scenarios that happened. Anyway, with that being said, figure out your approach, work on it. We have a new year coming. You don't need to reinvent yourself. Just become a little bit of a better version of yourself and figure out what that is. This morning I listened to one of my I guess from Pep Talk, and they say, how do you face your demons in the night? Ooh, what does that mean? We all have problems. How do you face your problems? Not ignore them. You turn around, you stare them down, and you friggin' approach them and attack them and get rid of them, and then they'll go away. You don't run away from them. And then into a new year, you try and figure out what are your demons in the night. Doesn't mean too much drinking. Only means maybe you do drink too much. Maybe you eat too much. Maybe you don't exercise enough. Maybe you don't hang out with your dog or your wife or your husband or your kids too much. Maybe you have your phone at the table and everyone's looking at their phone instead of eating dinner, hanging out. So what is it that you think could make your life better next year? Write it down and then maybe be accountable to it. Later, guys. I have something I got to fix too. I am far from perfect.